Hello and welcome to Let's Collaborate, a podcast from the Southwest Doctoral Training Partnership. I'm your host, Chris Garrington, and joining me for this episode, recorded at the Collaboration and Connectivity Conference, is Georgina Richards, who's researching green social prescribing and the role of volunteers in creating wellbeing. And she's based at the University of Bath. So welcome, Georgina. And I wonder if you can just start by telling us a bit about your research.
Hi, thank you for having me here. So my research is on green social prescribing. You may have heard of social prescribing, which is a rapidly growing movement in the NHS at the moment, which basically involves health professionals signposting people to non-medical interventions for their health and well-being, as opposed to giving them drugs. And green social prescribing is a rapidly growing branch in this area that defines all interventions happening in the outdoor environment. And what's really interesting to me is the role of the voluntary sector in this space. So there's currently quite a lot of investment in the health and social care end of social prescribing, given that the roots are in the health sector. But there's less investment, disproportionately less investment going into the voluntary sector. And that's one reason why I want to do this research. And then specifically looking at the role of volunteers in this, because ultimately it's often volunteers that are delivering many of these interventions.
It's really important work, and as you say, very timely, very topical. I wonder, how are you going about this? How are you conducting, or how are you planning to conduct your research? Who will you be talking to? What will you be doing?
So I have two case study organisations. So I'm taking a comparative case study approach, and I have been carrying out participant observation in both organisations. And I have been carrying out walking interviews or go-along interviews with participants and volunteers to really try and get to the heart of their well-being experiences being on these interventions. And I've also carried out questionnaires in tandem with these interviews just to help dig a bit deeper into my understandings of people's well-being. And I've also done quite an extensive sort of document review looking at the policy landscape that green social prescribing has emerged from within.
So quite a lot of work undertaken already, and I wonder what new insights you hope that your PhD will provide, and how ultimately, I guess, you hope those insights might benefit people, both people who might otherwise go to the doctor for drugs, practitioners themselves, health practitioners, people who are really concerned with the well-being of people, and how green social prescribing might help with that.
Well, I think ultimately I'm trying to really get to the heart of how well-being is understood in this space, and some of the tensions. Everybody's talking about well-being, but quite often people mean different things when they speak about that. So really, I'd like to give more clarity to that well-being concept, and especially in the case of green social prescribing, into the idea of how sustainability is kind of understood within the well-being space, and where responsibility for this and for well-being lies. So really that's a key impact that I'm hoping to have, but also to really shine light on the value of volunteers and the importance of the voluntary sector and the importance of investing in this, alongside the link workers, the investment that's currently going into the health and social care services.
I'm going to go a little bit off piste here and ask you, as someone who's embarked on a PhD, it can be a long road, it can be a lonely road. I know I hear that from a lot of PhD students, but I wonder if there's one thing that you've learned along the way, maybe a top tip. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking of embarking on a PhD, not necessarily in your area, but more broadly?
Okay, I think probably, really trying to find something that you're passionate about to research, because it is hard work doing a PhD, and it's really your passion that's going to carry you through in the end. And also just be prepared for it being not just an intellectual journey, but also quite an emotional journey of lots of highs and lows. It's really shown me what kind of manager I really am to myself, because ultimately the kind of buck stops with you doing the PhD. And, really also stepping up and putting your voice out there, putting your ideas out there. It can be quite easy to, feel like an imposter and keep to yourself. So, really, really don't be afraid to kind of fail and keep learning until you get ideas that you are happy to submit in a thesis.
Georgina, that's great advice. Thank you so much. And thanks for listening to this episode of Let's Collaborate from the Southwest Doctoral Training Partnership. Please don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts to access earlier and new episodes.